like I talk about all this work not to make myself look good. Like, oh my God, I'm such an Mother Teresa for doing this. I think I talk about.
I asked you.
Right.
No
Well, you asked me.
you.
I talk about this work because I think that we forget sometimes that the human experience is universal, and even if someone comes from a completely different background than you, there is always a way to connect. And even if you don't understand what someone has been through, you don't need to fully understand it. You can just say, hey, how can I be there for you? How can I hold space for you right now? And just let them tell you. And that's a big lesson that I've learned.
Are you
too.
going through life blind? This is Eyes Wide Open with Nick Thompson. On this podcast, we share knowledge and stories that build human connection while elevating stigmatized societal issues such as mental health, holistic wellness, culture, free speech, and more. All to ensure we show up in the world with our eyes wide open. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Eyes Wide Open. Today, our guest is Keila Dolle. She's an actress, filmmaker, comedian, also hosts a podcast called Crying Behind Sunglasses, which I was recently a guest on, and hearing a little bit about her story and her background and her advocacy for mental health based on how she grew up with a younger brother who was autistic, and seeing the challenges that he experienced growing up kind of put her in this space of, hey, like everybody deserves to be seen and everybody deserves to be recognized. Additionally, Keila is very open about her own anxiety, including how she experienced a panic attack shortly after graduating college and how that sort of influenced her to advocate and share that, hey, if you have anxiety or you have panic attacks, you're not alone. She also does great volunteer work and has just an amazing story from, her young age all the way to where she is now and what she's doing with her advocacy and where she's planning to take the rest of her life and what she's going to do with it. So I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about what it's like to experience anxiety and panic attacks and what it takes to actually show up in the world and give back to the world and advocate for something that matters to you so that you can go through life with your eyes wide open. Welcome, everybody. Our guest today is Keila Dolle. She's an actress, an award-winning filmmaker, comedian, and a mental health advocate that hosts her own podcast called Crying Behind Sunglasses. Keila, welcome. Thank you for coming on today.
Hi, Nick. It's so good to be here.
I know. It's been a couple of weeks since we were on your podcast, so it's good to catch up. I'm sure a lot's happened.
Oh my God, so many things have happened in my life, and I'm a completely different person now. I mean, I don't know if you even recognize me.
I don't. I signed on here to record this, and I'm like, who is this? What's going on?
I don't know. But yeah, no, it's really good to be here, and like my audience has been so excited to hear about the advocacy work you're doing because a lot of people just saw you on Love is Blind and they were like, ooh, we're going to tune in. We're going to get the tea. But then like Mary Poppins, you're just like putting a spoonful of sugar so the medicine can go down. Like you're teaching people about how they like the real conditions are behind the scenes and how they can help. And I think that's so cool.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's funny because someone asked me on the show a while ago, like, what was it like becoming famous for your relationship? And I think about, and this was like 7 months ago, I think about this all the time because now, I mean, I am famous for my, famous, I use air quotes, for my relationship, but like people are starting to now know like the things that matter to me, like, workers' rights, activism, mental health, all of this stuff that you don't get to see on TV. And they didn't really want to put, my politics on TV. They didn't really want to put a lot of this stuff on there. And now just maybe 2 weeks ago, first person stopped me and was like, I love what you're doing with the UCAN Foundation. And I was like, this is more on brand, like more about my ideas and the change in the world than like me, myself, and my personal life. So hopefully the transition, is there at some point
Yeah, I think that's exactly like you get this platform for whatever the heck reason, because it's impossible to predict what the popular culture is going to get excited about. So if it wasn't going to be this, maybe it was something else that you gained notoriety for, but then you can use that platform for whatever you want, whether that's
helping people.
Yeah, like selling a bunch of crap or helping people or
Right.
both, maybe.
Right. Exactly. I would love to do both. I do more of the helping people, and I wouldn't sell crap, but I would sell some stuff. But
I know. Sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
no,
But
but you're
yeah.
right. That's what people do. They shill any product that'll pay them that they don't even know or haven't even heard of, and I get it. People want to make money, and to each their own. Those opportunities come and then they go, and
Mhm.
you got to take them.
You gotta take them. Yeah, I mean, for me, the first thing that really broke through, well, if we're really talking about like me historically, the first thing that I got quote unquote famous for, I did a Sylvan Learning Center commercial when I was 15 or 16. And this is when do you know Sylvan Learning Center,
Oh
right? It's like
yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
tutoring.
Yeah.
And I remember
I'm pretty sure I probably saw that commercial.
I'm sure it ran for almost 2 years,
Yeah.
which is kind of unheard of these days.
It's
And
because you were that good.
thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm not going to put myself down. I do think that things are a little different now as far as how long a commercial will run. And I remember I had moms who would stop me in the grocery store and they'd be like, "Hey, should I send my kid to Sylvan?" And I'd be like, "I've never actually been
Yeah.
there." Because I didn't want to lie. I was like, they're very nice people. And then the kids at school, I was in the advanced studies program in
Mm.
real life, but in this commercial, I was playing a kid who has learning disabilities. And they never let me live it down.
Oh
They're
my
like, "Oh, you're
gosh.
so stupid. You need to go to some learning center." And I'm like, "Okay, bitches, I'm laughing all the way to the bank because
Y-
I just got a bunch of SAG residuals and I'm 16. So
Right?
bye."
Yeah. Who has the last laugh there? I think it might be you.
It's okay. I mean, it like out of all the things to be bullied for, it's fine.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be worse. Yeah, it could be worse. And at least you made some money out of it. If you were getting bullied for actually having it, that would suck. But when you get to put on your actress hat for a minute and make some money, who's
There you
laughing?
go. Yeah, I mean, I think that as far as bullying goes, like uh two things. One, as far as childhood goes, I grew up with a brother who has autism, and not like the Big Bang Theory, like fun kind of autism, more so like he didn't talk until he was 4. And
Right.
there were a lot of behaviors that my mom and I had to help him work through. And he's amazing now. He's probably the happiest person I know. He's an independent adult. He's doing really well. And that's thanks to a lot of behavioral therapy, speech therapy, our whole family getting on board and helping him out. But I remember, like, I'm so happy that the conversation about mental health has changed now, because when I was a kid, people were calling him the R word or calling him crazy. And I remember vividly this little girl who came over, and she's perfectly innocent. Kids don't know anything.
They
They'll
don't know
just
any
say,
better. Yep.
yeah, like that's why we have to educate kids when they're really young about those who are different from them, whether that's disability or race or
Mhm.
whatever, because otherwise they're gonna point at someone and be like, "Oh, they're different. There must be something wrong with them." But she came over and said, "Oh, your brother's crazy." And I remember being so mad. I never allowed her to come to my house again.
Oh, that's her loss. What did you say in the moment?
Mm, I I mean, I was 8 years old, so the memory is a bit fuzzy, but I
You
just remember
called her.
being
You called her a stupid head, didn't you?
probably. I remember being like, "My brother's not crazy. He has a disability," and da 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 da, and just getting really mad about it. But yeah, like he was being bullied a lot, and I feel like I was
Mm.
his defender. And as I've grown up, it's interesting because now I'm a mental health advocate. I'm kind of doing
Right.
exactly what I did as a child. Uh, and probably the second big pop that I had, because I've been in a lot of like indie films and stuff that
Yeah.
people have seen, but they're not like in the mainstream,
Right.
was also an anti-bullying thing. Dancing Man, which was in the news like in 2015, where I was the only girl behind the scenes of the camera, and
Oh
there was a
wow.
man there was a man who was being bullied and body shamed on the internet for being overweight and dancing, and we wanted to fly him to LA for a dance party.
I feel like I've heard it. Maybe I read about that when I was learning about you a little bit, but I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, I
I've
mean, it
heard.
was everywhere, and it was
Yeah.
crazy because it was just a group of us that were internet friends in Los Angeles.
Mm.
And sometimes we would do organize things around social justice. And we thought, oh, let's just start this Twitter campaign. Let's throw a party for this man. Well, we might raise a little bit of money to pay for a plane ticket wherever he lives. We didn't know who he was.
Right.
We just knew that he was being body shamed and bullied on 4chan. And weirdly, it exploded overnight. Next thing we know, Moby, Pharrell, Ellie Goulding, Susan Sarandon, all these big celebrities are like retweeting and supporting the cause, because at the time the cultural conversation was very much, and still, I mean, it is, but it was the first big wave that I can remember about body positivity and anti-bullying, anti-cyberbullying especially. And so a lot of people really rallied around us trying to find this person. He didn't have any social media.
I mean, I wonder why. He's probably ugh.
But we found him, and we thought like, oh, we're never going to find him. If we do find him, they're going to think like he's going to think we're crazy, or he might be crazy, or
he may not trust you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are their intentions? Who are these women in Los Angeles who just claim to want to be there for me, but what? Right. And then we thought, like, even if all of that aligns, no one really cares. We'll just get like a banquet hall, we'll get a boom box, and we'll throw a party for this random man. He gets to dance with some pretty girls, and then he gets to go back to wherever he's from. Like that was the extent of our ambition.
You guys, put that on a whiteboard, like 3 bullet points. Here's our story map.
And then, like, all of a sudden, like I said, it just explodes, and the whole world is like on this international manhunt to find this man, and for good reasons. There's people all over the world saying like, hey, it doesn't matter what your body looks like, you should be able to dance and feel free and go have fun with your friends. And we found him. He's in the UK. He's just a regular guy, and his name's Sean O'Brien. Okay. We're still friends to this day. Aww. But it was so interesting because at first he saw the original post, he was upset about it, but then he saw hundreds, if not thousands of people all over the world sending in dance videos of themselves saying like, hey, we're dancing with you, we love you.
Gives me
like,
goosebumps.
It's pretty cool, right? So yeah, like I said, I was the only girl behind the scenes of the camera, and it was this crazy sequence of events. We found him. I directed and filmed my first music video for the campaign. The Today Show and Good Morning America decided to film me filming it in my friend's living room in Echo Park. It was pretty wild. And for me, what I took away from the whole experience after we got to throw this party, it wasn't just about all the big names that got behind what we were doing. I mean, that was beautiful because they were able to shine a spotlight on it and make it bigger. But what it really was about was like, we get to say like, we're standing up next to this person, and the treatment that you are giving this person is not okay. And by saying that, we're also saying that about everyone else.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Maybe someone's missing an arm. Maybe someone has a wheelchair, or whatever other physical things that you can see. Or maybe they're invisible disabilities, such as mental health issues or immune system disorders. I know a lot of people who have those, and you can't tell. They just walk down the street.
Yeah. And before you know it, they have Crohn's disease, or they have, you just don't know. And that's what, you don't know what someone has going on behind closed doors or behind sunglasses, as you might, think.
What is that? Yeah. So it's interesting. That experience, thank you for doing a plug for my mental health podcast, Crying Behind Sunglasses. Everyone, please subscribe. No, just kidding.
Links below.
But like, what was so interesting about that experience, and I've only had a few experiences like this in my life where, this has probably happened to you, where you go, I am in the exact right place at the exact right time. I am doing exactly what I was put here to do, and I didn't even know it. And that was wild for me. Because we threw this party, and then they showed the music video that I had made. And the music video, just for context, it's Home to Me. The artist is Hope Lee. And we had girls in our organization dancing in front of a white backdrop and singing, very simple. But then we also had people from all over the world send in videos of themselves dancing, and I incorporated those into the video. I taught myself After Effects in one weekend to get this done.
That's an accomplishment. That should be like on your resume if it's not. After Effects is
Yeah,
hard.
it is. I don't know. I was very like, I was running on adrenaline at this stage, just because I was so excited about what I was doing.
Yeah.
Um, but I remember just looking out at the crowd of all these beautiful people gathered together for this charitable cause. We raised a lot of money for anti-bullying and body positivity charities. Like all the money we were going to use for the party, because we got it, everything donated, we were able to just give that money away, which was so
Oh,
beautiful.
that's so awesome.
So I was looking out at this crowd and I was seeing the video that I'd made and looking, I just started openly weeping, you know,
I mean, that's an
because it
overwhelming
just
moment.
hits you,
Yeah.
right? Um, and it's nice, I think, like looking back on that, because it's easy when something happens like that to go, oh, fuck, I peaked. What's next, right?
Yeah.
And to beat yourself up over it instead of just saying, hey, that was one moment. And I'm so glad I was present for that moment. I was fully able to take it and experience it and understand the gravity of it while it was happening. And it'll happen again. But guess what? That thing didn't happen because I planned it. It happened because
It was
I
organic.
was, yeah, I
Yeah.
was prepared. And I was like 3 months before that, had just quit working in a restaurant. I said, fuck it. I'm going to be a full-time freelance actress slash filmmaker. Here's my like website. Here's my past work. I had only filmed comedy sketches before that.
And commercials for tutoring programs.
Sure. Oh, well, I meant like as far as me being behind the camera.
Oh,
I had
gotcha,
done a lot
gotcha.
as an actor, but like all of a sudden I was the director, producer, editor of this thing. I had news
Mm-hmm.
organizations calling me and asking me for footage of Moby, and I was like, oh. So it was just a different trial by fire, and I had to rise to the occasion, and I did, and I'm really glad because it was just, it was a metamorphosis that needed to happen for me to understand, like, I'm here not just to create art for art's sake, but also for some sort of impact in this world, whether,
Advocating for others. Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I think is so cool. And this is actually a great segue to my favorite question to ask people. But I think that's so cool because so many people don't actually, they might like advocate for something or they might be an advocate for a specific thing. But ultimately, like, you have to do more than say it. Like, I feel like your actions speak louder than words. So you just taking that on and taking on, helping somebody feel better after they were bullied online. It's really admirable, I
Thank
think.
you. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't just me. It was a whole group of women. I will say, like, it wasn't just my idea,
Yeah.
but what I was able to bring to the table. Why am I rhyming? What I was able to bring was my own unique set of skills and say, how can I fit into this machine?
Hmm.
And how can I make this even better? And that's also really good, is to look in the mirror and figure out what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and how can I help? So that's kind of where I come from. I grew up volunteering a lot with my mom. We would, from the time I was very little, I want to say in grade school, we
Oh,
would
wow.
go, you know, work with homeless shelters and stuff like that. So it's always been drilled into me that no matter how much you have, you always have time
Yeah,
that you can give to
exactly.
people. Even if you don't have thousands of dollars to donate, you can take a few hours out of your weekend and go do something good.
I agree with you completely. And I think if more people did that, we would be in such a better place as a society because we'd see each other as human beings instead of, someone who's out to get me or out to take my job or out to hurt me or out to step on me to better themselves. We could all just see, hey, we're all human beings. We're all trying to figure this out and none of us have it figured out. No one ever will have it figured out. So let's just help each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And also just thinking about how a lot of people are depressed or isolated, or maybe on the other end, they're just really self centered. There's nothing that will make you feel better or more connected than to go and help, because like it's a win-win.
It makes you
I
feel better. It
Yeah,
literally, that's scientifically proven. It makes you feel better. It
yeah,
releases oxytocin, it releases serotonin, releases dopamine, like all of these chemicals that you need to feel good in your brain, like helping people
yeah.
helps.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's funny that you brought up dopamine, because it's like, okay, our fucking phones that we're scrolling through all day, you get those little hits of dopamine, but it's completely meaningless.
Totally. And I have a neuroscientist I follow, and I had him on the show, TJ Power, and we talked
Huh.
about this. And it's like dopamine, like TikTok, Instagram, TikTok especially. It's like dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. So the baseline's so high that now, like, you realize you can get a dopamine release on something that would take you hours to do 20 years ago, or months to do 1,000 years ago, like if you're hunting a buffalo or something. And then you would get that dopamine release and it would last much longer. But now we can just get it by picking up the phone. It's terrible.
It's just like something we have to contend with. I think like as technology grows, we have to figure out like how to integrate it into our lives, because we can't just be like, oh, I'm not going to get a smartphone. I'm going to sit here with a flip phone and I'm never going to join social media. It's like, okay, you can live your life that way. And I respect people who are able to do that. But as I'm sure you know, like, especially if you're in some sort of front facing role in entertainment, but also even other businesses, everyone's kind of expected to have a social media presence and able to order, like, in order to grow their business.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
kind of
you have to figure out how to do it. You have to figure out how to relate to it without it destroying your life.
Exactly. Well, like one of the big things for me was I turned off my Instagram notifications, and it has been now it sucks when someone's trying to get a hold of me from there, but I don't know why they would. Maybe they don't have my number or something, but that has been such a game changer, because now social media is on my terms, not on anybody else's terms. So I think little things like that people can do too, to sort of be present, but also still be connected in the way that the rest of the world is.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can just decide. I mean, I've never been disciplined enough to do this. I know some people that have it scheduled where they go, okay, at 10 a.m. on the like Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., I'm allowed to check my emails and my social media, and then I put it away until 6 p.m. or something. I'm not that good about that because my schedule's always weird, but it's a good idea.
I'm the same way. I like it in concept, and then there's times where I'm like, I've been on social media for 5 hours today, like, and 3 of it's been trying to get a reel to post that just wouldn't work for one reason or another.
Oh man, yeah, don't get me started. It's so funny. But yeah, I think it's I never have my notifications turned on because I feel like that's just them trying to pull you back into their thing so they can sell you more stuff. And I'm here like we're creating. One of my friends actually, I had her on my podcast recently. The episode isn't out yet, but Chelsea Lloyd, she's also a comedian, and she coaches people with their social media. And this is not really an ad for her, but there was a phrase she told me she uses with her clients called post and ghost.
Oh yeah, I do that on TikTok. I post and ghost.
Well, it's genius because that's exactly what you want to be doing, is focusing on like the process of creating your art and being in your business or whatever it is, maybe a fitness coach working on their next routine. Like that's the meat and potatoes of your life. So you're just here to present it and then you run away. And then maybe tomorrow you can look at what the responses are. But I used to do that thing where you just sit there and hit refresh. And you're like, who likes it? Who's commenting? That's
one more like. One more like.
One more hit.
Yeah.
No.
That's like, so I learned a long time ago that like TikTok has this algorithm that's designed to like hook you, because when you open up TikTok, it just instantly gives you content. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to hit a button. You don't have to scroll. It just hits you with a video. So you just get it even quicker. I'm like, I'm not getting stuck in this. And so I don't have to be on TikTok, but like a lot of the conversation around Love is Blind was actually happening on TikTok from the last few months. So like just being on there, I'm like, okay, I'm going to post and get off, because I'll look at comments sometimes, but I don't want to be sitting on TikTok, Instagram. And I like LinkedIn the best because you know, that's where I've been. That's where I've been most of the time.
I feel like it's the most underrated social network. I can't even pretend that I'm really on LinkedIn. Like I'm on there, but
you're not on there.
No. And maybe I should be. I don't know. I mean, what's it like over there? Is it a lot of boomers or is it young people?
There's a lot of boomers for sure. There's
nothing wrong with the older crowd, by the way.
No,
I like them. I'm just curious what the crowd is.
Yes, we're not boomer shaming for everyone here. We're not boomer shaming. But the crowd there, at least the ones I engage with, it's very much like what's important to you from like a work perspective. So I talk a lot about leadership. I like to write a lot of articles on leadership or posts. I
Mm-hmm.
stopped writing articles because they're two separate things there. But
Mm-hmm.
I do talk a lot about leadership, product marketing, which is my experience. I talk a lot about mental health in the workspace, all of those kind of things, because those are things that matter to me. And then they're things I've experienced in, and it's just kind of like applied with the professional filter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and
So,
everyone's on their best behavior on LinkedIn because it's all linked to their job resume, so
yep.
they can't.
Be mean.
Yeah, or I mean, they can be, but it's probably not very smart to be. So
Totally.
that's interesting.
So I usually ask this earlier on, but I'm curious. We've talked a lot about things you've done, but what did you want to be when you were a kid growing up?
Oh my God, yeah.
And how did that change? Because you've dabbled in a
I
lot of stuff.
have. Well, if I'm being really honest, the first time I did a play, I was 9 years old, and I knew immediately that I just wanted to be an actor and I wanted to be in the movies. I begged my parents to get me an agent, and
How did you even, first of all, what was the play?
it was a vaudeville play at summer camp. So, like, do you know vaudeville? It's like a bunch of different
Yeah.
songs and jokes put together.
Yeah.
And all I remember was that I was in almost every number, but I had a lot of different costumes. And then they also had me going out and telling jokes in between the acts.
So you were doing
And
your stand-up comedy act at 9 years old too.
yeah, weird, right?
Yeah.
And in that same year, I remember they also took me to New York, and I saw my first Broadway show, which was How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying with Matthew Broderick.
I remember that. I didn't see it, but I remember that.
My jaw was on the floor because I just thought, oh my God, this is incredible.
So
I
did
want
you
to
want
be
to
a
do
part of
theater at
this.
first, or did you know right away you wanted to be movies?
I I'm not as talented in like the singing and dancing,
Mm-hmm.
and theater tends to be really focused on musicals.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in LA, so I knew about film and TV from birth basically. So I knew like if I was going to do it, that was where I wanted to go with it. And my parents were just like, they're not in the industry. And I was a smart kid, and they
Well,
said,
apparently, if you knew, apparently you were, because if you knew you needed an agent at 9 years old, that's pretty
right. But
impressive.
they didn't want me to get involved. So they said, listen, that's nice, honey. We're going to send you to theater camp starting, whenever you're old enough. But for now, you're going to stay in school, and we don't want you to end up in rehab by the time you're 14. So, like, let's just chill.
Oh my gosh.
So I
That was
didn't start
almost
until,
that was
yeah.
almost me spitting out my water on all my equipment.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I didn't start until I was about 15 because I had worn them down to the point of no return of like, hey, this is something I'm actually serious about. So they let me go out and make a little resume of the theater plays that I had done and go out and get an agent. But I would say my earliest aspirations, other than acting, was when I was little. I remember we would go to SeaWorld a lot,
Mhm.
and I wanted to be a dolphin trainer.
You're not the first dolphin trainer I've had on the show, which is interesting.
You mean the first aspiring?
The first aspiring dolphin trainer, yes. Which is performance. It is performance.
But it's with animals.
Yes, true. Very true.
And you get a custom wetsuit.
Mm-hmm. Dolphins, I used to love the dolphin show. Dolphins were my favorite growing up, and polar bears, but dolphins were always number one. I love that. I got to swim with them when I was like 18, and it's still a highlight of my life.
Oh my God, where did you do it?
I was on a cruise, so it was an excursion somewhere. I don't remember. I was like 18. It's so long. It's 20 years ago. I just turned 38. So it's
Congratulations.
like, I guess.
Happy birthday.
I guess. Thanks.
Aging is a privilege. This
It
is
is a
how I'm
privilege.
looking at it now. I don't know. I'm just trying to say that over and over again so I don't get upset if I get older. I figure as long as I'm keeping up with my skincare, and I still have girls that are 21 who think like ask me what my skincare routine is in the ladies' bathroom.
You do appear to have very nice skin. So what is your skincare routine?
Oh man, now we're getting into it. By the way, for the record, let me just before we change subjects, I want everyone to know I did see Blackfish. I don't go to SeaWorld anymore. I don't support what they're doing. I was a toddler. I am innocent. Uh,
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Let's avoid the comments of this one here, this episode.
right. I just want to throw that out there. But
I
you were
do have
asking,
very controversial views about zoos now. Like
yeah.
I'm conflicted because there's part of me that's like, wow, we're monsters. We're taking them
Mhm.
out of their habitat and we're putting them here so we can stare at them. Like, what are we doing? But then there's the other parts where it's like, well, a lot of these animals, like we've stopped from becoming extinct. We've been able to breed them back out of the endangered species list, all that stuff. So I'm very conflicted on it. And
Yeah. I mean, I feel like most zoos they exist for education and to like raise money for conservation, ostensibly, but
yeah,
at what cost? Like all these
right.
animals are in captivity, and yeah, I know what you mean. Skincare routine. Let's see.
Let's
I'd
get
say,
into it.
yeah. I mean, you can put it in the description. There, if you look on Amazon, I think it's what is it called? Face Shop. They have
Okay.
this rice water cleansing duo. You have to do a double cleanse, okay? Oil cleanser and then foam cleanser.
Oh, in that order. Oil, then
Yes,
foam. Okay.
the oil like takes off all the dirt and makeup and stuff off your face in a very gentle way, and then the foam cleanser really is able to get into your pores and do everything. Then you do a toner. I do like a rose water toner. I
Mm.
forget the name of the brand, but it's the I think Thayer's. And then depending on what's happening with my skin, or if it's winter or summer, I have different kinds of
Oh,
moisturizers or
wow.
serums I'll use. And then during the day, it's always I just splash water in my face in the morning, put on a moisturizer with SPF, and go about my day. But I've been wearing sunscreen every day since I was 14, and I think it's very important, not just for vanity, but also to not get skin cancer. So,
That's so funny. I don't, I've started. I would never really wear sunblock, but now I'm
mhm.
doing like zinc sunblock because of the chemicals in it. So there's like carcinogens, and you go buy like Banana Boat or something, like one of those like $5 sunblocks. There's like
Oh
known
yeah,
carcinogens in there. So I'm like, I'm not going to put that on my face. I'm going to avoid getting skin cancer and give myself a different kind of cancer. But like, there is like such a difference since I've been using like zinc. I forget what brand it is. I bought it at Whole Foods, but putting that on like sunny days and stuff when I'm going to be outside a lot, it does make a
yeah.
difference. It
It
really.
does, yeah. And also something else, like just to tie back into the mental health stuff, for me, doing beauty routines, whether it's like doing my nails or doing all this skincare stuff, or I'll have like a jade roller that I do at night sometimes. It's
I have
very
one too.
meditative. You have one too?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's very meditative and it is a form of self-care, and it's something I get to do alone, put on some music, put on a podcast, and it helps me wind down from the day. So it's not just all the surface level stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that's in your routine that helps you keep a structure that works for you. I totally get that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you where did you kind of alluded to this with your brother, but where
Mhm.
did your mental health journey start? What were your personal experiences, and how did you decide that you were going to actually advocate for this and actually make a difference and volunteer in some of the ways that I know you are that we'll get into?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I would say we already talked about my brother who has autism, and growing up with him, I think that would be the thing that really informed how I view the world. I mean, it was just the two of us in a single parent home up until I was about 6 years old. And uh, I didn't, it's interesting because people ask me, how was it to grow up with him? Do you ever think about what it would have been like to have a quote unquote normal
Oh,
sibling?
people don't know what they're saying.
And well, I don't,
I don't
it's
begrudge
okay.
them. Yeah, I don't begrudge them. They
Yeah.
just don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's ignorance, and we're here to educate, so that that doesn't happen anymore. But so people ask that, and I have reflected on that, of course, because you wonder what like if the grass is indeed greener on the other side. But what for me is developed a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy, a lot of understanding for these kind of issues,
Mm-hmm.
which it's interesting because I have so much compassion and empathy and understanding for other people, but I've been so hard on myself in my life.
Of
I'm such an
course.
overachiever and classic, like high performing, high functioning anxiety. And I didn't even realize that I had a problem until I was 20,
Oh,
you know?
wow.
And that was because I was graduating college a year early and I um, was in New York. I was graduating from NYU and I thought, like, okay, I spent my whole life achieving, doing all this different stuff, getting the straight A's, getting into the college I wanted, booking these acting roles in high school and all
Mm.
this different stuff. Now I am about to leave all my friends in New York and go back to LA, and I don't have a plan. And I don't have a next certificate or achievement or
Right.
official thing to strive for. Who am I?
I've been there. I get
It's a
that.
classic thing. I think there are a lot of college students who go through this because it's the first time that you leave home, you strike out on your own, and then you try to figure out, wait, like I thought that I was so tough and so confident and had so many plans, and now I have to actually do it. And now I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what I'm doing. So, yeah, I remember having my first panic attack in New York and
Oh.
thinking, I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack.
I literally saw a therapist on their social media today that was like,
Yeah.
things to remember when you're having a panic attack. One, this will pass in 15 to 30 minutes at the longest. Two,
Right.
you are not having a heart attack. Three, you will not die. It's just like all the things you just
Yeah.
said that they had like reminders of.
Yeah. I think the mental health wasn't as much in the conversation at the time. It was still
Was it in your family? Like you were able to talk about it in your family?
Oh, yeah, like
Okay.
my mom has dealt with her own stuff and like definitely on a lot of different stuff on my mom's side of the family. My grandma went to therapy for like 20 years. So
Oh, wow. Your Is that your 92-year-old grandma?
she's 95.
95,
So she was
95.
ahead of her time.
It's
She was
William
doing
Shatner that's 92. I got those two
uh,
mixed up.
there we go. Yeah, we were listeners, I'm sorry we didn't record this, but we were talking about William Shatner before we started recording and how much we love him.
Yes, and I was shocked to learn he was 92 a few months ago because I still thought he was like 60. But anyway, so your grandma.
Yeah, I mean, he probably has the same skincare routine as me. You know, we should all look as young as William Shatner. But yeah, my anyway, so I had this thing, and then I remember going to the hospital and with my college buddies who were so supportive and so sweet. I have to say,
Mm.
Nikki and Savannah, they were just there for me, and they said, "Kid, listen, you didn't have a heart attack. You've got anxiety. Here's some pills for tonight. Go call your doctor or get a therapist, figure it out." I was like, oh, okay. And so that began a really long journey of self-discovery and learning how to manage it. And like you said, understanding about panic attacks and that,
Mhm.
okay, it's not a heart attack. I'm not dying, but my body is trying to tell me something and I need to listen and figure
Mm.
that out. And I think my journey has mostly been overcoming perfectionism and uh, not being afraid of my own emotions.
I think that's a big one for a lot of people to understand. Myself included. There's times where I'm like, I don't want to deal with that emotion. It's compartmentalized. I'll deal with it when it bubbles up from something else.
Hmm. Because I was raised in an environment where like there was so much energy going towards taking care of my brother that it was always like, oh, Kayla's fine, she's fine. Oh, any feelings you have, no, you need to go to your room and cry. That's
Oh,
not here,
wow.
right?
Okay.
So, and it wasn't like, listen, I think every parent does the best they can. I don't think that
I
they did
agree.
this on purpose, but the result was that I became an adult who was not able to manage my own emotions the way that others might be able to. So, plus genetics, who fucking knows? I mean, there's a
Right.
lot. There's actually a book that really helped me when you talk about intergenerational issues or intergenerational trauma called It Didn't Start With You. And
Oh, I
it
have not heard
talks,
of that one. I'm going to write that
y-
down.
yeah, yeah, it was recommended to me by a therapist. And they talk about not just the nurture, but also the nature aspect of this. They have experiments with rats. They have historical studies with people who are descendants of Holocaust
Oh,
survivors
wow.
or other populations that have been through wars, and how there's a ripple effect throughout the generations of, like, I guess I'll put it in layman's terms that
Yeah.
people can really understand. So think about your maternal grandmother, okay? So when she was born, she had a certain amount of eggs. And then one of those eggs eventually became your mom, right? And so anything that your grandmother experienced during her life, especially when your mother was in your utero, changes the way that your mother's DNA will express itself.
Mm.
And so it's not like, and then that, by in turn, your mom is born, she has a certain amount of eggs, one of those eggs became you. And then any traumatic events that happened in your mother's life, especially during that in utero time, is going to affect the way that you turn out. And a baby, like when a mother experiences a certain amount of stress during pregnancy, then the baby is born with a lower than normal level of cortisol. So cortisol is a stress
Stress
hormone, and
hormone. Yeah.
it's got a bad rap, but it's actually something that your body produces to help you regulate
In
and
the
help you
morning
be.
too. Yeah. In the morning,
Yeah.
like it produces cortisol to get you through your day, to like create that urgency and yeah, exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to
It
interrupt
just
you.
it's okay. No, I mean, so this is something I learned from this book, and it really helped me out because I thought, okay, this isn't just me being fucked up for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
This, like, maybe I've been fucked from birth, but at least we know now. At least we know like what we're
You got
dealing
the
with.
science behind it.
And so we, like, okay, if I was born with less chemicals than I should have to be
Mm-hmm.
able to deal with stress, then I'm going to have to work a little bit harder than other people to learn how to manage my anxiety. Okay, great. Now I have an assignment.
Yeah, that's so smart.
And so now that's why, like, I'm so passionate about having a morning routine, doing meditation and mindfulness. I know a lot of people aren't very into meditation, and that's okay. Maybe you have some other thing that is your version of meditation, whether that's running, gardening, walking your
Walking, that's
dog.
mine. Mine is
Yeah,
walking. Yeah. I,
sure. Just something to turn your brain off and to just be present and be with your breath, whatever that looks like for you. I just think it's so important, especially now that we're in this time that we're constantly staring at screens, and we are being disconnected from our bodies and from our daily reality. It's good
mm-hmm.
to just ground down into wherever you are. And sometimes you don't want to do that. Like, maybe things are stressful, but you have to, like, be there and sit with your feelings. Otherwise, they're not going to go
Well,
away.
that's the self-care part of it. Like self-care isn't going and getting a massage or a facial. That can be part of it, but like
Sure.
it is really about like doing what you need to do to make sure that your glass is full or make sure that you're recharged.
Right.
Because otherwise you're just going to keep stumbling through life and you're not going to have any of this self-awareness. You're not going to have any of the growth that can come from that self-awareness if you put the effort in.
Yeah, and that's, I love reading biographies of successful or famous people, uh, because I feel like I can learn a lot of lessons of
Yeah.
what they've learned from their failures, but also now that they're in their quote unquote like successful era, what habits did they have that are maintaining that?
Yeah.
Or, and 9 times out of 10, it's like I get up super early, I do XYZ every single day. That's how I get through. Or everyone has some sort of routine that, uh, not like in an OCD way, but just in a really healthy way, sets them up for success.
That's exactly it. And that's so similar story to you, but with depression instead of anxiety.
Hmm.
I grew up in a Catholic family and very much, what you were saying, like my grandpa was a veteran, didn't express any emotions other than fine and angry most of the
Hmm.
time,
Hmm.
or irritable. I shouldn't say angry. I would say irritable.
Hmm.
And that kind of comes through. And I remember like, I just learned what depression and anxiety was in high school. So I had no idea. I'm like, why have I felt this way for so long? And it's, I started journaling. We've talked about this before, like when I was 6,
Hmm.
and it was because I was like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? What if a character felt this way? And then I'd write a story about it and it'd be kind of sad, but you just don't know. And then when I finally figured it out in my early 20s, at first I was just like, oh, okay. So I've just got this depression thing I just got diagnosed with. And it's like, cool. All right. And then I didn't do anything. I just meandered around and, was
How old were you
depressed
when
all
you
the
got
time.
diagnosed? In high school?
21.
Oh, okay, later. So around the
Yeah.
same age as
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
interesting.
I saw, I didn't have health insurance at the time, and
Hmm.
that was part of it. I didn't have a job. I was struggling. And, there was a local community that my friend told me about that basically gave free therapy to young people who couldn't afford it. So I saw someone there very briefly. It wasn't for a very long time. And that was when I realized it. And then I went to my doctor and talked to my doctor about it when I finally did get insurance. And it was just this whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to live with this. I tried some meds. I tried a bunch of different meds. They had me up and down. And, one of them, Zoloft, finally helped me sort of regulate and level out. But then it was I was 31 when I started seeing my therapist that I see now. And I just was I can't live like this. I can't live in this constant state of irritability, unease, being around, walking on eggshells around my family and not knowing who I was going to be showing up in the world. And that's when I started. And it made such a big difference in boundaries, learning boundaries and how to set up and enforce boundaries around people helped me more than probably anything else except structure. Structure was key. I had to wake up. I had to force myself to get out of bed. It's one of the reasons I got a dog was because on a bad day, I have a hard time getting out of bed.
Yes,
But
can
now
we
I have a
just talk about how dogs can literally solve so many problems in people's lives?
totally. That's so true. Getting him, I haven't had, because I haven't been able to have a day where I can't get out of bed and I have to call
No.
off work.
No,
And I've
you
had
I
him
mean
for
you
about
you can
5 years
call off
now.
work, but you still have to walk the dog. So,
Exactly. But I would have days where I would just literally wake. This is so bad to say, but wake up, be like, I'm not doing this, take some Benadryl, go back to sleep, wake up. I'm not doing this, take some Benadryl, go back to sleep. And it's awful, but I had days like that all the way until
yeah.
I got the dog. It
Yeah,
was
and I
such a
think you
life
have to give
change.
yourself grace for that. I don't think there's anything awful to say about that. If anything, it normalizes what people go through. I've been through
Mm-hmm.
phases like that after a breakup. So even if someone doesn't have long-term
Yeah,
clinical depression, even if they're just having a depressive episode, that's a very human thing that you went through.
totally.
And I'm sorry you had to go through it, but I think it's really brave of you to share.
I don't think I've shared that before. So this will be the first. This will be the first time. Thank you, and you too. Just being able to talk about this, and that's something else I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about. I was listening to your podcast, and um, you, well, two things. First of all, you talk a lot about I think you just say values, but your core values and
Sure.
how they impact how you show up in the world. What role did that play in helping with your anxiety
Sure. I
and your
mean,
mental health?
my values as far as what? I'm sorry. I just wanted to
Oh no,
clarify.
just what are your core values? What matters to you that
Sure.
helps you show up in the world, in a way that you're confident and you feel better about yourself.
Absolutely. I think that something that's really important to me that I think about a lot is that if I'm on my deathbed and I'm looking back, I'm not going to have regrets about my achievements or lack thereof. But what I would have a regret about, or maybe in a more positive sense, what actually will matter at that point in my life is my relationships, my
Mm,
friendships, family, or, otherwise, or romance, any of that. Just the
mhm,
community that I've built around me. That's the most important thing in my life. And
mm,
so when I look at it from that perspective and I see how can I show up as my best self for other people, how can I choose healthy people to be around
yeah,
who are going to lift me up, and I look at it through that lens, and I feel like that really helps me a lot.
that's really good. And that's your community and the people that you're
Yeah.
supposed to be around.
Yeah, and that's how I got into comedy, and that's why I resonated with it so much. I did not think of myself. I mean, I knew I could be funny sometimes, but I didn't think of myself as a comedian. And
Mhm.
growing up, even though I wanted to be an actor, I thought, "Oh, I'm going to be like Meryl Streep. I'm going to be a serious actress." You know, I'm going to go to RADA, and I'm going to be doing Shakespeare and that kind of shit. Which,
Yeah.
hey, Hollywood, still interested. But like,
Direct line to Meryl Streep. Can you take me under your wing?
yeah. But like, if I boil it down to my true essence, the main person I get compared to is Parker Posey. And guess what she does? Comedy.
I love
Uh,
Parker Posey.
I love her so much. My actual dream, which I think I need to be more vocal about, like a big career goal dream for me, would be to play either her daughter or younger sister in a film, because I feel
Oh,
like
okay.
it's destiny at this point. I used to get mistaken for her in New York. I would get free bagels from the deli.
Oh, really? Oh my God, that's hilarious. You know, it's so funny. I got my hair
Yeah,
cut yesterday. My barber and I talk about scary movies all the time. And we were
yeah.
talking about her in Scream 3 and how
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you watch any
Yeah.
of this. Okay. So she was playing Gail Weathers, who's played by Courtney Cox in like the movie within a movie
Yes.
part of it. And she was so awesome at. She's hilarious. Like every word, every mannerism was just she killed it. And
She's on it. And
she's
Best in
on it.
Show.
Oh yeah, another one.
And yeah, but anyway, so I think coming to terms with who I am and my true essence, and accepting that instead of fighting it. So I had people telling me I was funny and that I should try improv, uh, learn about comedy, things
Mm,
like that. I think I was resisting my true essence because as an actor, you have to do something that a lot of people have to do on social media nowadays,
mm,
but you have to do it all the time, which is you reckon with the idea of, who do I think I am? Who does the world think I am? And how can I bridge that gap? And so I had to let go of who I thought I was and lean into the fact that people thought I was funny. People were telling me to try improv and stand up. And for about a year or two, I was like, no, I don't do unscripted work, and just being very, very snooty about it and very like uppity about the whole thing. And it's so stupid because then when I went to take my first improv class at the Upright Citizens Brigade, UCB,
mm.
I go, oh my God, I found my people. I
Yeah.
found them. I found a community of people that are willing to embrace me with open arms. And these weirdos, this is where I belong. Right. And so I
These
think,
weirdos.
yeah, well, because I'm weird too. Like, I don't,
Embrace the weird.
yeah,
That's the thing. I think people are afraid to sort of embrace that piece of them, you know, and I get it because like society and your social circle and your family, they all tell you, you know, or even if they don't tell you, they put pressure on you, whether they know it or not, to be a certain way and be around a certain kind of people and do a certain thing with your life. And sometimes you just got to embrace the weird and be yourself.
yeah. Don't punish yourself if you are not interested in the 9 to 5, you
Exactly.
know? And just
Exactly.
because you come from a certain family that does a certain thing, like, I don't know, my mom just retired. She's a financial planner. My stepdad is a lawyer. It was very almost expected of me to take over one of their
Yeah.
businesses or go into some other high level professional trade like that. And I'm sorry, I'm a weird artist. That's just who I am. And any attempt that I've made in my life to force myself into some other path, it hasn't worked. So it's at some
Because
point
that's not your
easier.
path.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just accepting what your path is once it's once it becomes clear to you. Sometimes it takes a while for it to become clear.
I completely agree. Which maybe brings me to my next question for you here. What
Mhm.
are some of the ways that you know, you're obviously an advocate. You have your podcast, which again, link is below for the cheap plug. Um, give it a listen. It's
Thank you so
definitely worth your
much.
time.
Yeah.
And so how do you advocate on a personal level? Because I know I've heard on your podcast a few things that you do, but I think it's great to share like, hey, I don't just come on podcasts and
Oh, the
talk about my
volunteering.
journey. Yeah, the volunteering and
Yeah.
you know what you plan to do with your future.
Sure. I appreciate you asking. Yeah, I mean, with the podcast, I think that was my first step into just being open and out and proud on a very public level
Mhm.
about anxiety and panic attacks and trauma and all that kind of stuff. And that was
Mhm.
really freeing for me. And then I started talking and interviewing all these comedians and entertainers and experts and people like you about what they've been through and how they've be able to overcome it. And through that, I've learned so much.
Mhm.
And I've had so many people in my DMs saying, "Thank you for doing that episode about divorce. Thank you for doing that episode about suicide," because I thought I was alone, and that means a lot. It means a
Yeah.
lot. But further than that, because we can all just turn on our microphones and do a podcast, and obviously it's not easy, and not,
No.
but it is fun and different than actually getting your hands dirty and doing the work. So um, through doing this work, I've had a lot of people be like, "Wow, you'd be a great therapist. You're basically an unlicensed internet therapist." And I'm like, "I don't know, I don't know, I don't know." And then I thought to myself, well, maybe I could go get a degree, because maybe I could write some self-help books. Maybe I could actually, like, if I want to write these books, I should probably go back to school and learn more about it than just
Yeah.
my anecdotal experiences and all the self-help books that I've read. So, yeah, I'm planning to go back to school for my MFT, most likely sometime later this year.
And
In the
MFT is marriage and family therapist for those of
Correct.
you. Yeah.
Yes, for the
Nice.
uninitiated, there are a few different degrees and licenses that someone can get if they want to be getting a master's in the field of psychology or therapy or social work. So there's MSW, which is a master's in social work, MA in marriage and family counseling, which would
Mhm.
lead you to become an MFT after you do 3,000 hours of
The hours are
supervised
they're so
hours.
daunting.
And then there's also, I think, LPCC, which is licensed professional clinical counselor. There's a lot of
Yeah.
different degrees. So
Yeah.
most likely I'm going to do an MFT. And on my road to that, because I don't have, outside of the podcast, I don't have professional experience counseling people or working in the mental health space. So
Well, you learn the clinical side of it too, and the
yes.
structural side, and like, yeah.
Yeah. So outside of what I'd already done, I asked around and I found out about the idea of volunteering for a crisis line. So my two options were to either volunteer for a suicide line or to volunteer for the domestic violence and sexual assault hotline. And I thought, well, as a woman, I think I'm really passionate about the latter.
Hmm.
So I volunteer for Peace Over Violence. I went through a training program last year to become a certified, what do they call me? A certified volunteer crisis counselor.
Which is
And
outstanding because not only are you helping other people, but you're taking on, I mean, taking on other people's pain so that you can help them, and that's very brave. It's a tough.
thank you.
That's tough.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, it's I did a 8-week, 80-hour training, and then we also have monthly refreshers, and then I volunteer once a week. I have one shift, about 5 hours a week, where I'm just, I have my phone open.
Hmm.
And what's really cool about technology is the fact that I don't have to drive to their headquarters in downtown to do it. I get to do it from the comfort of my own home. They have an answering service that sends the calls to my phone, and then I just take my notes and do everything I need. Um, and if anybody out there, if you have been, if you're a survivor of domestic violence or sexual assault, even if it didn't happen yesterday, even if it happened 20 years ago, just know that you're not alone. And I will give Nick the information of hotlines to call that are 24/7.
Yeah.
This is not just in LA, this is national, all over America. I can't speak to other countries. I don't know about that.
Hmm.
But there are people that are ready to listen. And yeah, when I pick up the phone, we get a little bit of everything, all
I
different
bet.
ages, all different genders, and different things that people are dealing with. And there's someone there to listen. And my main job, other than listening, is to, if the person is open to it, get them to get help.
Right.
So whatever that means for them, some people don't really need or want therapy, and they just need help with housing or
Mm. Gosh.
job counseling or different things, because especially with domestic violence, it disproportionately affects women, and a lot of those women are trapped in marriages or relationships that are abusive because they don't have the finances to leave. And that's where I feel like the patriarchy has really failed us because being able to get their own job or get their own place, that's the big hurdle a lot of times, getting people out of these situations. And so I'll get their information and I get them enrolled in services, and it's not an overnight fix, but if they have a social worker and a counselor that they're working with, they can start to put together the pieces of their life and make a safety plan, make it so they can get out of there.
Hmm.
examples of other stuff I've done in addition to the crisis line, they also have us do in-person accompaniments. So we are trained to go in person to a police station or to a hospital. So at a police station, I might be helping a survivor make a police report against a
I remember
stalker.
you talked about
Or
a specific story on one of your shows, one of your episodes about that.
yeah, the first accompaniment I did, which
Yeah.
was a woman who had been assaulted, I think that day or maybe the day before, and went in to get a rape kit done. And so I got a call during my shift, and it only happens during my shift, just in case people are wondering how this works. So if you, and again, I don't know the laws outside of California, so
That's okay. Yeah, we'll preface that.
just look up the laws in your state. But at least in California, you have the right to an advocate. So if you go into a police station or a hospital to make a report about domestic violence or sexual assault, you have the right to have an advocate, which would be someone like me, to come in and um, be confidential, that you can talk to me. I'm not going to talk to the cops or to the doctors about anything you tell me, and also to know what your rights are. We can walk you through that, and also just emotional support. And I remember I went out on my first accompaniment to this woman who was getting the kit done, and I was really intimidated. I was really scared. I was like,
Mm.
this woman is going to know. She's going to be able to tell that this is my first time going in person to do this. Um, I had done a lot of role playing and a lot of training, and I had been on the hotline for a month or two at that point, but I was so scared, And when I remember when I showed up, she was just so happy to have a human being there who gave a shit.
Yeah.
And immediately I thought, okay, I could do this. I'm
Yeah.
just here to hold space, provide empathy, to be there with her. I was distracting her with random stories about,
I
like,
was,
asking her
I
about her
was gonna say,
kids.
I would imagine it's so transactional, like in a police station, getting a rape kit done. Like, what
Yeah.
a
Well, the rape kit is done
invasive.
in a hospital, but
I'm sorry,
yes.
the hospital. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I meant. I'm sorry. So in the
That's
hospital,
okay.
but having that like intrusive experience that led you there, and then having that intrusive experience, like just having someone there to tell you a story or get your mind off of it or hug you or hold your hand, I can imagine that's invaluable.
That's kind of what it's about. Yeah. And so I didn't know that. I think that they told me that in the training, but you think you have that imposter syndrome of, I'm not qualified. I don't know if I'm ready. And I knew once I was there immediately, I thought, oh, okay, I'm just a person helping a person who went through a really hard thing. And what would I
Hmm.
do if that was my friend sitting in the chair getting this exam done? I would just ask them a bunch of questions about their life that have nothing to do with this to get
Yeah.
their mind off of it. So that's kind of what we were doing. And also, I didn't expect that I was even going to go into the room with her. That was her. She wanted me in there, and I took that as a
Hmm.
big compliment. So I thought, okay,
She trusted you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, uh, and like, I talk about all this work not to make myself look good. Like, oh my God, I'm such an Mother Teresa for doing this. I think I talk
I
about,
asked you. I'm the
right,
one
right.
that
Well, you
asked
asked
you.
me.
You.
I talk about this work because I think that we forget sometimes that the human experience is universal. And e- even if someone comes from a completely different background than you, there is
Mhm.
always a way to connect. And even if you don't understand what someone has been through, you don't need to fully understand it. You can
Mhm.
just say, hey, how can I be there for you? How can I
Yeah.
hold space for you right now? Um, and just let them tell you. And that's a big lesson that I've learned too.
Exactly. And if they don't know, you can just sit there and be there with them. Like you said, hold space, show up, and let them guide what they need. And if they
Yeah.
don't know, just be there. It
Yeah.
is.
Just having that showing up. I think that's another big value in my life, is just showing the fuck up for
Mhm.
people. Cause there's so many friends that I'm sure you might have, these flaky friends who are like, every time you try to make a plan with them, like, oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy.
I
Or
actually do that to a lot of people too.
it's okay. I mean, it's okay to be a big busy person, but I think it's also important to have, like, instead of having a million acquaintances, having your core group of people that
Yes.
like, they're going to call me at 2 a.m. I'm going to pick up the phone, because someone has to be there on that level for people at some point. And do I offer that for every person that I know in my life? No, but I have certain people that I say, hey, you're in my inner circle. you can rely on me.
Yeah.
And that's how I know, like, if you want real friends, you have to be a real friend, you
That's
know?
exactly right. Yep. That is exactly right. Well, thank you for sharing that story, and also like the vulnerability you share when you talk about even your brother and your first panic attack and your anxiety and your journey and why you're showing up for other people. It's really impressive. I appreciate it, and it's hard. Like you're doing so much for other people, which is it's good to see that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's what makes me feel good. 9 times out of 10, if I have a shitty day, um, on like the day that I'm supposed to do my hotline shift, that'll
Mm.
end up being a great day for me to actually go out and do it.
That's a great point. I know too, when I journal a little bit every day. I do a lot. I practice a lot of gratitude, and I try to send one gratitude text a day.
Ooh,
Even at
yeah.
my worst, because I am like, you know what? If I can make someone else's day a little bit better, that's going to make my day a little bit better.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. I'm a lifelong journaler. I started writing poetry and journaling when I was about 6 or 7 years old as well.
Mm.
And I still have. Did you save your journals? Because I did.
I have a lot of them, and they are, I think, all in my mom's basement. I'm dying to. So I wrote my first screenplay when I was like 13, and
Hmm.
it's in like spiral notebooks. And I'm dying to go through that and find that because I don't know, nostalgia.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like what I want to go through and digitize all my journals because
Yes.
I feel like that would be great to just have. And then when I'm ready to write my big memoir or whatever, I can go back to it. I know a few times I've gone back to my teenage poetry, especially because I was an emo kid.
I think we all had that stage.
For like, I've literally gone back to it to use it as material for comedy. So there's always something in there. I would love to know what that screenplay is about, and maybe you need to produce like a lo-fi version of that because it's what the people want.
Well, it's actually a Halloween sequel, so it's not original. My second one is original though, so maybe we could find that one too.
Can't wait. Can't wait. But thank you for having me here.
Yeah,
And yeah, I appreciate you.
yeah, of course. Do you have anything you want to ask me? I like to give people an opportunity to ask me anything.
Yes. So I want to know, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh.
I know that's like such a job interview question, but I'm just curious to know.
I see myself growing professionally at this company. No, I'm kidding. Um, that's a great question. I think I have some, like these days, everything's been so crazy that I feel like even today, I was like, I cannot think past today. Like, I can't think about plans tomorrow because I have too much going on today. I'm back to back to back all day. And so, like, when I think about like 5 years from now, like, I want to be in a position one where like I'm actually making a bigger difference in the world. So I want to keep using my platform. I want to keep obviously like hosting this podcast, being active in my community. I'm an activist as well. So that's part of the UCAN Foundation. So I would love to see the UCAN Foundation having influenced and led some change in the reality TV space. That's like a huge thing I'm laser focused on right now because I believe everybody should have access to mental health services, basic labor rights, and not be exploited for literally nothing but followers and, a couple bucks in a box of Cracker Jacks. So I would love to, so I would love to see some change in the reality TV space. Professionally, I had this moment where it was similar to yours earlier. I thought about saying it then, but I'm going to say it now. So I guess I'm supposed to. I had this moment like 2 years ago where my whole career goal has been to be a chief marketing officer, a CMO. I had
Mm.
a moment where I got to step into that in the interim, and I sat there and I was like 2 months into my 5 month stint. I'm like, I actually don't want this. And I had I've been having an identity crisis since then because I'm
Hmm.
like, what am I going to do with my life? I don't,
Hmm.
I don't know what I want to do. I know I want to help people. And I'm trying to channel that. So I hope that I have that figured out in 5 years
I
and
think you
I'm
do
being
have it figured
successful there.
out. Like it's all happening. You're
Yeah.
you're being open and honest with your podcast, and your foundation and everything, I think you're like totally on your way. Also, other question that is like less wide ranging. Are you a breakfast person? And if so, what do you normally eat for breakfast?
So good question. I intermittent fast. So I still haven't eaten yet today, as an example.
Wow.
It's almost 5 o'clock Central Time. Um, but I love breakfast food. So I eat a lot of breakfast for dinner.
Uh-huh.
So I
And
love like
what would be a breakfast for dinner? Like what's if you were getting real fancy with it, maybe if you had a lady friend over and you were trying to impress them with your lunch for dinner, what would you be
I
cooking?
would have to see. I'm so simple too. I love like making
Simple's good.
homemade egg McMuffins. Like those are
Uh-huh.
those are my favorite. I'm pretty good at making omelets as well. So I could whip up a good omelet with whatever you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm uniquely for some reason good at like flavoring pancakes.
Mm.
And it's weird. I don't know why. I don't even really eat that many pancakes, but I could probably whip up some nice pancakes for you.
I love it.
Like the most
Well,
simple, basic food.
no, I mean, that's what, you know what? I love breakfast because it is so simple. Like, how many
Yes.
different combinations are we going to have of eggs, some sort of breakfast meat, some sort of carb, or like pancakes or waffles? Like,
Potatoes, grits, all of it.
yeah, no, I think it's great. I mean, I'm living on a farm, so I'm lucky that I get like farm fresh eggs if I
Oh,
want them, which
I
is like a
hope you're
little,
letting them roam freely.
yeah, no, the chickens are very happy, and very like, I mean, they're not like out on a hill. They have their area that has their little chicken coop, but it's very big and they're very well fed. They get their gross freeze dried mealworms and everything that they like to eat every
Hey,
day.
that's how they're supposed to eat. I buy pasture raised eggs, pasture raised organic eggs for that very reason, because
There you
that's how they should
go.
be.
Well, maybe if, when I come to Chicago or when you come to LA, I'll bring the eggs with me,
I
it'll be a fun
expect
time.
it. I expect
I'm gonna be like at LAX with a weird cooler with all the
it.
eggs inside of it, and they're like, "Ma'am,
The
what do you
TSA
have
is
in
going to be like, what is this?
there?" Can't wait.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming on again. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so if you just check out, I'm sure in the description, but if you check out my social media, it's Keila Dolle, KeilaDolle on all the platforms. I'm mostly active on Instagram. And then if you want to check out the podcast, it's called Crying Behind Sunglasses. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm now starting to put out full video episodes on YouTube. You can actually check out the
Nice.
interview that I did with Nick,
We'll link
which
that too.
is, yeah, the interview that we did together. I really appreciate you being so open because like, um I feel like I learned so much about the behind the scenes of the show and
Yeah.
also just your motivations for starting the foundation and everything. So it was really a fun experience and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And all of those
Yeah,
links will be down below. Thanks for coming on. We'll do this again soon.
anytime.
Oh, and also
Bye.
Chicago, you have 3 months to come to Chicago before it starts getting cold again. So think about that.
I will think about it. I will. Yeah, you're right. Because going to Chicago in the winter, what's the
Yeah.
point?
June, July, August, maybe some of September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll have to put a pit stop in then.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Eyes Wide Open. If you enjoy the show, the best way to support us is by sharing or dropping a review. For more information and content, check out engagewithnick.com or find me on Instagram at nthompson513. Don't go through life blind. Do the work so you can show up in the world with your eyes wide open.